Learning the blues firsthand from the masters. That's what the kids from Chicago did. All we had to do was go a few miles to find this amazing music in our own backyard.
I was born in Chicago, 1941. Born in Chicago, 1941. My father told me, son, get yourself a gun.
In Chicago, in the early 1960s, a small group of white teenage musicians with a passion for the blues went into the city's tough black neighborhoods on a mission to learn the blues directly from the original masters. They were encouraged and mentored by Muddy Waters, Howlin' Wolf, and others, and by the end of the decade had gone on to introduce the electrified Chicago blues to rock and roll in what came to be known as the blues rock explosion. They were there for every major musical event, with Dylan when he went electric at Newport in '65, at the Monterey Pop Festival in '67, impressing a certain up-and-coming guitarist, at Woodstock in '69, and in the recording studio with the Rolling Stones. In 2008, surviving members of the group gathered in Chicago for a very special concert. Nick Gravenites, Barry Goldberg, Harvey Mandel, and Corky Siegel welcomed guest stars Dave Mason, Marcy Levy, and Sam Lay for a musical celebration of their historic blues roots. This is their story.
My first friend went down when I was 17 years old. First friend went down.
This was the place. This whole thing was just like one big wild thing here at night. I've seen guys out here get knifed, giant fights. This was the jungle for me back when.
Born in Chicago. 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 Say, don't see yourself.
We were like, you know, all the things you hear about and mothers warning their children about. That was us. I was like a petty hoodlum. That's how I got into the blues.
I met Nick Gravenites with Paul Butterfield, and they would be hanging out together, and Nick was sort of like the big chief. You know, he was the main guy of the Chicago blues young guys clique.
Me and Butterfield were the original Blues Brothers. We used to go around the clubs late at night wearing shades. You know, I had a pistol in my belt.
And they were like reputed sort, you know, kind of, I wouldn't say young gangsters, you know, but I wouldn't want to talk about, you know, what was in their pockets or anything.
A little dangerous, a little crazy. Did a lot of drug experimentation, drank voluminous amounts of alcohol. And I like that kind of rough culture. I thought that's where all the true philosophers lived.
I first met Harvey when he was 16 years old, and he was a young gun walking around the streets of Chicago. Everyone listened to Harvey, all the great guitar players, Jeff Beck, Eric Clapton, Jimi Hendrix, and Harvey is responsible for a lot of that psychedelic blues kind of stuff, you know. Harvey and I did that when Harvey was 17, 18 years old on the south side of Chicago, and then graduated up to where he actually played with the Rolling Stones and contributed our music to the rock genre.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to be the replacement for Mick Taylor. I got beat out by Ron Wood, but nonetheless, like I say, it was still a great experience.
Harvey Mandel, I always remember that first album, that Cristo Redento. It was a favorite album of mine. It was a great album.
Dave Mason.
when Tim Martin had asked me about coming to Chicago and play with the Chicago Blues reunion, I was thrilled to do it. I mean, I always love an excuse to come back to Chicago, but that was a great excuse to come back here and play with those people. I picked Dust My Blues because A, it's one of the few blues songs that I know all the words to, and B, I love Elmore James.
I get up certain morning, I believe I dust my blues. I get up certain morning, I believe I dust my blues. I quit the best gal I'm loving, now my friends could get some too.
The way I got into the blues was just from learning to play guitar. The more I got into playing the guitar, the more I listened to all kinds of different styles, different players, just to learn, basically. So that's how eventually you're bound to get into the classic blues guitar players at some point. Otis Rush and Freddie King, Buddy Guy. Obviously, it was influenced a lot by everything that came from here. We just took it all and sold it back to you. Turns you back onto your own music.